Back to Wickerson Studios. Michael Wickerson here, and I am continuing with this GPT-4 into Grasshopper 3DM files. And instead of writing like massive scripts or building clusters or trying to do a plugin, I'm just trying to go from text to a model. And a model that I actually want to control. And I'm getting better at it, but I certainly am wasting a lot of time. You want to get really good at this because you only want to have like 25 prompts every few hours. That's all you get with the GPT-4. So as long as you have model GPT-4, you may as well start. And I started with a C script. And I realized I don't need C script. I want something simple that everybody can jump into and read Python well. And I'm just going to dumb it down to that, which isn't really dumbing it down, but it's dumbing down for me to a sense of trying to keep it very simple in my mind so I don't get overcomplicated. So even though I wrote a script in C, I was like, no, I'm not going to use the C node from the maths. I'm not going to go here and I'm not going to get into all these crazy script tools. I'm just going to use the GH Python one because I'm not doing anything trickier than Rhino script syntax or Rhino common API. And so this script is being generated in many forms, and I've got it over here spinning. How I started was, yes, I did start with a C sharp, but I didn't like it, so I ended up putting it into a Python node. So if we jump back over to here, you'll see that I then wrote, after it told me what to do, and I took a look at it. Where did we go? Sorry. Write a Python script. I usually begin every prompt with this. If you have GPT-4, GPT 3.5, if you want to do ChatGPT, if you want to do Copilot, doesn't matter where you want to go with this. Script Parasite will do it back and forth from Python into it. The simplest thing to do without getting into GH Python remote, without getting into Visual Studio Code, without getting into hops, it's got to be that GH Python node. And even though I've come full circle back to it, that's what I think people are most excited to do. So I prompt everything to write a Python script for a GH Python node in Grasshopper for Rhino 3D using the Rhino Common API and the Rhino script syntax API to create a model of a and then dot 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 or a colon, and I want a dragline excavator because I'm reading a little simple book on urban engineering. I'm not an engineer, but I figured why not make some simple models and get them up and running. They're hardly complex. For all this effort, you could model something very fast over in Grasshopper. But my first one that it did, it generated this kind of crazy bucket with this arm that's shooting off to the side. But it got me started, and it made me realize what GPT thinks of a dragline excavator: a bucket, an arm, and a base. Now, if you're good at Stable Diffusion, you could pretty much take that design and build the kind of broken down excavator. But that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to continue along. So down here, I went and I started thinking, okay, if they're going to hard code things in, I'll just make things more parametric so I can move them around, get things oriented right, make them the sides I want. And that's exactly what I did. Still single nodes, single scripts. And if you want to see these scripts, you just double click on them. They're in this file. It'll be in strip mine excavator 001. The thing you won't get from me is my working program through here, because that's personal. And you, in a sense, like you would debug it faster than me. You would ask different questions. You would be human in different ways than me. So that's not something, but what I like about this is it archives everything I've ever done, right down to the Mobius loops when I started with the twisted floor lamp. I think I was doing lattice work last week. This is all in the span of a week of thinking of simple models and then how would I script these. So if you can get on the off the wait list, you get your school pay, or if you can pay $20 a month, it's well worth it, at least in my opinion. And then if you want to see these scripts that are in here, they'll pop up. This script is actually the final script. And I'm trying to keep all my script under 100 lines of code. I want to call this series Keep It Simple, Stupid, and 100 lines plus or minus, Python script with GPT text prompts into Grasshopper 3D models. That's it. And then you can take it into Stable Diffusion. I think that's enough of a course that will blow my school away for anybody trying to get into this if they can start thinking computationally. You certainly have to think computationally to talk computationally with this. So the next model that I went to, it looked like it brought in the angle. So there we go. I had something running that I could actually kind of move that angle up, but it's not hooking. It's putting my bucket at the top. Like, why would GPT put my bucket up there? I want it hanging. I want this connected to my main body of my thing. I don't want that rope there. I want that to be the arm. I want it to be volumetric. So you just keep plugging through. Next one I brought in seemed to hook it up right. I don't know if I have it parametric to 55 degrees. I don't. If that's not running in the script, you double click it, you go down to your parameters, and if your arm length is set to arm's angle, you could probably take the arm angle. And what's silly is to do this, just copy that and hard code it in there. Not hard code it, make it parametric in there. And if you run it now, I should have that model up and running. So I've got one little slider that'll make me, hey, I've got my rotating excavator with my little arm, and I can make it on different angles and have some fun with it and make it move, which is the power of Grasshopper. Blah, blah, blah. All right, so I'm going to just save that because I want to keep saving these documents. I'm trying to do these in one go. Then I played with it a little bit, and what did I bring in? I brought in a hanging rope, and there it is. The hanging rope has a length. So the two parameters I basically want to work are the angles and the length of the rope. And that's it. And it's writing all of its script itself. You can peek in there. And I think as we get down to the final one, you'll see that I made it parametric to the whole size of the bucket, the height of the bucket. The main two things are the arm's angle and the hanging rope, but you actually have a drag line that'll pull it back in. Now, if I was doing something in Grasshopper and taking my time, I'd probably have these be capillary arcs, ropes, catenary arcs, and they would hang when they're too long, and there'd be slack and slag, and this is hardly anywhere close. But I'm trying to show you in a span of 15, 20 minutes, you've got your model, it's parametric, it's been written in for you through stages of you getting better at talking. And a lot of this is just the same script with minor errors. But in the end, the final one, the script calculates the centroid of the bucket, draws a line from this point of the centroid to the main body, which serves as a drag rope, and then we're done. And you'll see we have these hard-coded things here, which then I went in and transformed that script and took them out and gave them the variables that are the input variables for the GH-Python node, because all this is a GH-Python node. That's it, a single node, making an excavator, whatever you want. I think I'll leave it on there so people know, but if you want it called the excavator, you get your one simple basic script. 100 lines of code, 15, 20 minutes work. You're learning how to talk to ChatGPT. Yes, you can make it. There's a new program which a friend of mine or somebody in town that's working on just did a hackathon to make the GPT node build a Grasshopper script, but I'm not really sure why I would want to build a Grasshopper script when I really want to get my mind more and more into coding and understanding that and how these are just built by very simple definitions, single functions that produce all of these things. So I'm not even working with classes. The class becomes kind of the clustered node in GH Python. So really nice, simple work. As you can see, I did yesterday I did the open pit mine. This one was the strip mine using the dragline excavator. Now I'm going to make a quarry. I'm going to model a quarry and then an underground mine, which has tons of wonderful models like drift mines and slope mines, excavation and removal. So that's going to be pretty fun. And then we'll deal even maybe with mine waste, which will bring it to kind of something a little more political and important to look at. Then we'll get into brickworks and just keep going. So this is a really nice little simple book that I picked up on urban engineering. There's tons of them out there. This is done by Claire Barrett and Ian Whitelaw. So I'm just kind of borrowing their very simple diagrams and manufacturing them. So that's it. Nothing hard to this stuff. Try and keep the code under 100 lines of script. You will learn to read and write Python. You will take yourself up from Rhino script syntax and start using the Rhino geometry. You might even import some interesting random, which I did on the last quarry, strip mine. The last open pit mine, I used some noise to make it jiggly. But that's about what I'm doing. There's nothing too hard on this. So I'm going to just quickly end this recording.